Hey guys, and welcome to what is an insanely close scrap between two warrior legends of old. On the left hand side we have the Omens. Will they be good? Will they be bad? Who we know is he is leading the fellows of Nagash to the Tower of Hoeth to take on the Gentle Rat, who's actually going to bring in the forces of the Beastmen. So it looks like there's been some swift in allegiance away from the Skaven to a more corrupt and evil force of Beastmen. And I must admit, straight out of the gate, I love this Tomb King build. It's very fun, it's very thematic, and it's got one or two really cool unique units in it. So without further ado, let's delve into this. We do have some Tomb Guard with halberds, guarding the flanks and the rear of the battle formation, whereas in the front we have some basic Tomb Guard. So it's got actually pretty elite, at least for Tomb Guard as far as infantry is concerned. Normally see a load of cheap infantry and then more expensive single entities, Ushopti and other such units. And that's not to say we don't have them as well. We do have the Chosen of the Gods, Regiment of Renown Ushopti Great Bows here in the central pocket, as well as a Hero Titan coming in with, of course, its bound Spirit Leech and Shem's Burning Gaze. It is a towering beast of destruction and war, and you don't really want to cross its path. Now, it's got one real useful thing about it in this matchup, and that is that it brings fire and magic damage to the table. Going to be very good up against Morga the Shadowglaive with that fire, though I think he may have I believe he actually has a ton of magic resistance, so that may counter it out a little bit. Let's have a quick little look over here. He does actually has 25%, so it's actually going to be a little bit of a neutered effectiveness there. So despite the fire, it's actually not going to be that great. We have some horsemen down here on the left-hand flank, as well as the Hex Wraiths. Now, you may be wondering how on earth do Tomb Kings have Hex Wraiths? It is because of the sub-faction pick today, do have access to one or two more unique and special units. For the forces of the Beastie Boys, we do have some Gore Herds dotted all the way along, including Ungor Herds as well, so a nice mass rush force here. Ungor Spearheads are in the secondary battle line, guarding a couple of Ungor Raiders, as well as Gorok's Man Rippers, the best of the Bestie Gors, coming in their awesome blue colour scheme, looking to hack and cleave their way through the rotten bones and flesh of their opponents. We do have Morga the Shadowglaive in the back, of course, we spoke about already. Yes, he has that flame weakness, but the magic resistance will help him out quite a bit in this build. We do have Centaurs with thrown axes, it looks like 2 units, and then double Minotaurs with great weapons. Taurox shall be proud as they come charging forward, looking to bring those heavy axes to bear. It can be quite interesting to see how this battle does unfold, with a Brave Shaman of Wild coming in here with, it looks like Devolve as well as Viletide and Devolve. It is right. Oh my god, I actually guessed some spells correctly for once. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Tomb Kings are taking a relatively defensive position around the Ushopti right now, who are starting to rain shots down on the Gorok's Man Rippers, which isn't a bad target whatsoever. They're one of the best answers in this entire build to the mighty Hero Titan, apart from, of course, those Minotaurs with great weapons. We're going to be seeing the first Shem's Burning Gaze go down, and it is aimed directly at the Gorok's Man Rippers. Everything is being chucked at them at the moment. A load of different shots come in. Arkan the Black is on foot today. I don't know if we spoke about him earlier on. Coming with Spirit Leech as well as Fate of Buna, a spell I don't get to see terribly often anymore. Skeleton Warriors have been summoned in the front line. You can see this Gore Herd has been split into 2 right now, so still going to be outnumbered and not having the best of times. We are going to be getting a Spirit Leech or Fate of Buna going down on the Gorok's Man Rippers. It is in fact the Fate of Buna. That's going to do some lovely damage to them. A big fat Viletide goes down on the Kepid Guard. Unfortunately for the Tomb Kings, punching quite hard there. Hex Wraiths have sprung from the tree line alongside their horsemen allies and been used quite well here in a hammer and anvil situation to crush the rear of the Gore Herds and help break them up. They could probably float into the back line and do some pretty decent damage as well. Gorok's Man Rippers have been comfortably dealt with here, which is really good news for the Tomb Kings. However, that Brave Shaman of Wild is quite happily floating around at the moment. Now, where are the Minotaurs? It looks like they mainly wanted to focus down the Chosen of the Gods. Not a bad target whatsoever. However, they are now being pinned in place by the Tomb Guard with halberds, with more Tomb Guard on the approach. But good play here by the Beastmen player. Force pathing his way into the back onto the Chosen of the Gods. Centaurs with thrown axes. A downhill thunderous charge onto the Ushopti. That should keep them busy and most likely finish them off. It looks like the Kepid Guard can be trying to make a last stand around the Hero Titan and Arkan the Black to try to keep the Beastmen at bay. Hex Wraiths are doing a lovely job in the back line here. You can see they've already broken off the Ungor Herds, and now can bounce around the Ungor Raiders and dispatch them, because those arrows raining in will really start to add up here. Centaurs with thrown axes looking relatively healthy, are starting to launch those axes into the Tomb Guard. Not a bad target whatsoever. You can see both Chaos Spawn Summons are down, and that is pushing the balance of power rather heavily in the favour of Beastmen, at least at the moment, but they will dissipate shortly. Tomb Guard of Halberds did a fantastic job, just up to only 2 kills, but they've been saturated on top of Minotaurs for a rather long time, so I'm sure their damage value will be pretty great. We even get a lovely Spirit Leech going down. Now, Ark in the Black is in quite a lot of trouble, so what do you do when you're surrounded by giant angry bulls with mighty axes? You summon the reinforcements. It looks like the summon of Ushopti will be coming in to hack at the Minotaurs and try to help protect Arkan, who is kind of getting his ass a little bit beat at the moment. Hexwraiths are beaten up, but they're doing a decent job bouncing around. Unfortunately, oh no, they're going to be going straight into that Vile Tide, taking some damage, nothing too crazy. It looks like it was more aimed at the Tomb Guard with halberds there. Tentacles of Thrown Axes continue just to rain shots into the elite infantry. Some of them now are switching targets to the Hero Titan itself, who's currently standing relatively strong. Ark and the Black Staff Nagash has been popped, and he is protected by all of his guard today, as well as the Ushopti. Another Spirit Leech goes down on the Minotaurs. That is going to be whittling away at their numbers. You can see some of them doing some rather dramatic death animations, and now being charged by the Hexwraiths. That's not going to be a good day whatsoever for the Mino boys. We're taking an overarching view of the battlefield. On the left-hand side, a load of Beastmen forces are routing. They should be able to return to the battlefield. Ungor Raiders have finally been able to open up and shoot. Likewise, the Centaurs did some really good jobs. I mean, all the targets here today are basically good for them. So, up to 20 kills and 8. Nothing too insane, but nothing too terrible either. British on the World has been forced off, and the mighty Titan swinging around its weapons, and whatever the hell this scale Titan is. And lovely old Superman eyes straight down to the Gorehers, roasting them. He feels like flesh tonight. The Ungor Spearhead to do some okay damage, of course. They do come in with that anti-large, but they really do lack AP, and he has 100 armor, and that is certainly no joke. But the Centaurs are getting him some lovely axes, and he is rather isolated. Minotaurs are great weapons on the prowl to hunt down such a majestic beastie. Tomb Guard, as well as the Tomb Guard of Halberds, are trying to duel the Shadow Gave, but he is such a sticky customer, coming in with that regeneration and relatively decent stats, as well as poisoning their enemy. He's going to be a big pain in the butt. Hexwraiths just running down Ungors at the moment, swooping in with those scythes. They really are the heralds of death here, and the Beastmen certainly know that fear. It looks like Horsemen are being used to chase off a lot of the routing units who were trying to return there for the Beastmen. Really good top tier play there by the Tomb King player. Minotaurs do break and start to run. Balance power is nonetheless, though, in the favour of the Beastie Boys, mainly due to the fact Ark in the Black is so low. He does actually pop down the lovely Liber Mortis. 40% physical resistance is really nice, and the increased leadership, but it doesn't last too long, which is kind of the main problem. Big Fat Vile Tide goes down. It mainly only catches the summoned Skeleton Warriors, though, so nothing too scary there. And the Titan is starting to crumble, but shall the Titan stand, or shall the Titan fall? Well, he's struggling a little bit. He is certainly struggling. Hexwraiths are going to be chasing down and trying to rout the Minotaurs for good. Not a bad idea whatsoever. And despite the balance of power, if you look across the battlefield, the majority of the Beastmen forces are in retreat at the moment. However, they still have the Centaurs, despite the fact they do lack that ammunition. And Morgor the Shadow gave them. Boy oh boy does Morgor count for a ridiculous amount on the balance of power. Hero Titan's doing some pretty decent work down onto Morgor the Shadow Gave. He'll only actually get that 5% resistance, I suppose. Kind of counted out by the flame attacks. But the mighty Titan, unfortunately, crumbles and falls before the might of Morgor the Shadow Gave. He is surrounded by relatively elite infantry. Arkan does need to pop in there and try to whittle him down. We do get a Spirit Leech go down on the Centaurs with Thrown Axes. Not a bad target whatsoever, although popping it on the Brave Shaman may have been a slightly better option. Tomb Guard are coming back to the main battlefield, as are the Hexwraiths, while Horsemen simply clear up some archers, though they themselves are crumbling. So they won't be around here for too long, although they might be around long enough, hopefully, to finish off the Raiders. There are 2 Minotaurs of great weapons who can come back and still deliver a pretty powerful punch. The Brave Shaman of the World is charging in onto the Halberds, which you'd think would be a bad target, but Tuskor Chariot still have really good mass, and it can pull through without taking too much damage there, but does actually shatter by the mere presence of the Tomb Guard. Of course, that fear does add up in the later stages of the battle. Arkan is isolated, but he does have Tomb Guard on the approach, and Morgor the Shadow Gave is just tanking. He is losing HP, but way slower than these Tomb Guard are. These Tomb Guard should do okay. They are anti-infantry. Morgor the Shadow Gave, though he is a big boy, is an infantry-sized model. So Tomb Guard are hacking and cleaving, trying their best to bring down one of Chaos's favourite kind of mishaps, I suppose. Hexwraiths are now hunting down Centaurs where possible. I mean, these guys have terror, so keeping them alive into the later stages of the game could be crucial, but they are constantly wavering at the moment. Arkan the Black is going in to fight alongside his Tomb Guard allies. Foeseeker is popped on the Shadow Gave, and Arkan is certainly no slouch. I mean, not quite as powerful as Morgor in combat, but when supported by the lads, he's gone a little bit bold here, And it looks like Morga is starting to waver. Balance of power still, though, in favour of the Beastmen, despite the fact their Lord has been pegged down a tier or two here by the mighty Ark and the Black. Hexwraiths are floating around. It looks like we do, unfortunately, though, have 6 overall Minotaurs returning. They have very, very low morale, though. So if the Hexwraiths coming in with that fear and terror, although the fear won't affect the Minotaurs too much, that terror may eventually add up. One unit of Minotaurs has shattered. Hexwraiths now bouncing out and shattering Ungor Raiders. Morga the Shadowgate is running for his life. Now, this is crucial. He needs to take these Hexwraiths and chase down Morga because he will be regenerating this entire time. He is indeed retreating, but it looks like the Hexwraiths, unfortunately, may themselves be crumbling and they are gone. There is no longer any mobility for the Tomb Kings. That is really bad news because Morga the Shadowgate can now rally and come back into the fray. In fact, I would just sit on the edge of the battlefield for now. Use the Centaurs to cycle charge a little bit, bring back your own troops, sacrifice a couple of gore herds and so forth into the great maw of the Tomb King's forces, and leave the Shadowgate just to regenerate up and then come in for some final assassination attempts. The battle lines have been drawn, the Tomb Guards fighting back-to-back here in 2 different shield walls. Halberds trying their best. On paper they should be good up against Centaurs and Minotaurs, but they're so beat up by this point, it is a little bit rough. Ark and the Black pops Staff from the Gash once more and charges into the deep, trying to slaughter the Minotaurs with every blow of his mighty blade. Minotaur, though, trying to decapitate Ark, and he kind of whips his head back in a lovely dodge, and the Tomb Guard are fighting to the bitter end, surrounding their Liege Lord, and we do actually have a Skeleton Warrior summon, which is a lovely bit of placement there. It's going to be pitted in all the Centaurs, and Centaurs are relatively squishy for the most part, particularly the throwing axes here, and the Skeleton Warriors should, in theory, be able to drag them down. Morga Shadowgate was wavering a little bit, but he has managed to regain some of his composure here. Ark and the Black is 1,200 or 1,000 HP now as Morga slaps him down to size a little bit. I think he does need to duel the Shadowgate with support here of the summon, and hopefully the other units can force back the Centaurs, but once again they come in for that thunderous charge. It is what you see is what you get. All of the other units have shattered for the forces of the Beastmen. This is such a close scrap, but that summon of course won't last forever, and it is the only unit left on the battlefield apart from Arkan himself, who's currently been cycle charged rather effectively by the Centaurs. And he's trying to stand against the tide. A lovely upper slice of his blade is met by the ferocity of the Shadowgate himself. Skeleton Warriors, they are not long for this world. Can that fear drag down and push away the Centaurs in time and buy enough maybe time for Ark and the Black to get a Winds of Magic? No, it looks like he's going to crumble. Army losses kicks in and the Beast Herd moves to victory there. Well played to both these champs. That was an absolutely wild and insane game. Very close stuff with some pretty awesome units brought to the battlefield. I really do think that Hexwraiths can be a little bit niche sometimes, but this is one matchup where ethereal units really can shine if you can assassinate the enemy casters, which, the Hexwraiths managed to avoid the majority of the magical prowess. I think there was one Vile Tide which hit them during the mid-stage of the game, but despite that, 222 kills is very good work, 1.2k damage value there, but finishing off a lot of units, routing them as well, dragging down some of the Minotaurs at the death. If only they could have survived or got, there's no, I'm so used to seeing them with Vampire Counts where they could get healed up. Of course, they can't here with the Fellows of Nagash instead, and they weren't able to bring it back at the end. But despite that, the Omens played amazing. Thank you so much, dude, for sending this replay in. Very much appreciated. Well played to the Gentle Rat as well. Now, before we dive into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units, if you guys want to send in replays to me, you can. I get asked this quite a bit. How do you send in replays? Or people emailing me saying the same thing. You do it via my Discord. There's a link down below to my Discord and my Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do that via Patreon. On the Discord, you can get involved with tournaments, events, keep up to date with the channel, and submit those replays. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment, all that good standard YouTube-y stuff. Without further ado, let's hop in here and see how the lads performed. 2k damage value on Ark and the Black. Very impressive. He did come out with a fair unit in the early stages of the game, but then just followed up with Spirit Leech after Spirit Leech after Spirit Leech, and bringing him on foot can make him a bit of a squirmy customer who's kind of hard for the Gentle Rat to ensnare and slaughter. As for the small build here, only 640 units. This is very un-Tomb King-like. The Tomb God did pretty good. 125 kills, 41 kills, just shy of 1,000 damage, and then 1.3 damage on the second units. The Halberds fared okay as well. I mean, 650 damage value is not insane, but then we have 1,000 on this unit, 428 on the next, 658 on the Kepper Guard, who are quite nicely focused down there by the Beastmen forces. I do like the cavalry play. I think it was pretty top-notch. I mean, 115 and 222 kills, just cleaving away through the back line. Hexwraiths 1.2 damage value, the other horsemen 725. For the Chosen of the Gods, just shy of 900 damage value. Bringing one range unit like this does apply pressure to your enemy and force them to come into you a little bit more, so I do like the pick quite a bit. And for the Hero Titan, only 771 damage value, which is a little bit upsetting. It did pop its Spirit Leeches, its Gaze and Nagash, and all that kind of good stuff, or Shemsman and Gaze, I should say. But unfortunately, the beast did crumble, and though it looks beautiful, it does sometimes struggle in the multiplayer scene, at least in my my experience with the beast. For the Gentle Rat, Morgan the Shadow gave 1.4k damage value, so not too shabby whatsoever, actually just shy of 1.5, 98 kills, and has been such a tank in the later stages of the game. Good play of the Brave Shaman as well, 1,200 damage value, and the infantry across the board did relatively little. The Gorg's Man Rip is only 288 damage value, some good targeting there by the Omens. Ungoray's got shut down successfully, but it did come down to these Minotaurs, Centaurs, as well as the Hero Core. The Centaurs got 1.1 and 1.7k damage value. Jeez, that is a lot of work done by them. 88 and 75 kills, and the Minotaurs have great weapons here. We got 1.3k damage value and 1.6. The Minotaurs may not have had Torok's leadership today, but though Torok's is one of the best Legendary Lords right now for Beastmen, don't forget Morgan the Shadow Gave. He is still a very competitive pick, despite Malgor learning to fly and Torok's the Brass Bull coming in to assert dominance in the multiplayer scene. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. Peace, peace, and as always, stay awesome.